Hey y'all, right now is week 3 of Pantheon, aka Rhulk Indomitable. Today I've got your updated guide, and we are now at 15 power level differential, meaning things are going to start to hit really hard out here. Remember, before launching Pantheon week 3, go to the Hall of Champions and get the quest from Shaxx. Quick FYI, this is the week where you can get Conditional Finality, so go ahead and put your tryhard pants on, it's about to get sweaty out here. Down in the pinned comment, I'll be linking both my week 1 guide, which contains all the mechanics for Golgoroth, the Caretaker, the Planet Room, and Atrax, as well as my week 2 guide, which contains all the mechanics for Oryx. No need to regurgitate all that info here. Before diving into Rhulk, a quick update on surges and modifiers. For week 3, the surges are Arc and Stasis. We also have a return of the Class Warfare modifier. Remember it, these are the numbers on that. Go ahead and activate your class ability before or during damage phase for literally free extra damage for the entire team. Here's what I recommend players to use on encounters leading up to Rhulk. For Golgoroth, Caretaker, and the Planet Room encounter, I recommend you use a combination of Gallarhorn and your best Arc or Stasis rocket launcher. A Cold Comfort with Bait and Switch or a Clown Cartridge Hothead would be just fine. For Atrax, even though it's no longer a Solar Surge, I'm going to still recommend Parasite for burst damage paired together with as many Titan Thunder Crashes as you can. After you've used Parasite, you can swap over to Lament if you have one, because you won't be able to build up Parasite stacks again for Atrax Final Stand. Grand Overture would also work for Atrax. Remember, you can build up stacks by shooting the elevator buttons with the weapon, which is kinda hilarious. For Oryx, I would recommend going back to rocket launchers, whatever you used to clear the first 3 encounters with. But real quick, today's vid is brought to you by Manscaped, so I'm gonna take a short break from my YouTube shtick to have a frank conversation about yo face. You thought I was going to say dick, didn't you? Joke's on you, my guy, because Manscaped has more products than just stuff to shave your junk. Although they are great at that. Nevertheless, Father's Day is coming up, and Manscaped has you covered with an easy gift that dear old dad will actually use. The Handyman Face Shaver. The ultimate compact shaver designed for precision and convenience. A sleek design with a dual blade and skin-safe technology will ensure dad gets a smooth shave every time. And of course, you know the Handyman is waterproof and can be rinsed off in the sink, no problem. It's also airplane friendly and easy to travel with, so dad can look his best wherever, whenever. And if your dad is like mine, don't forget the Weed Whacker 2.0 nose and ear hair trimmer. Look, I encourage my dad's hobbies, but growing a second garden out of his ears and schnoz is not what I had in mind. The Weed Whacker 2.0 is just the thing to help dad keep a tidy shop and trim down unwelcome growth upstairs. Buying a Father's Day gift can always be a gamble, so again, why not give him something he's sure to use? Head on over to manscaped.com/falloutplays and get 20% off your order and free international shipping. Again, that is manscaped.com/falloutplays. Thank you, Manscaped. Alright, now for the Rhulk encounter. Here's your refresher course if you haven't done it in a while or have never done the encounter. The encounter you spawn into will be a very open but long and narrow room with a big stairway in the back. Your fire team's goal is to repeatedly dunk debuffs into 6 totems that can be found around the room until you ultimately reach the damage phase. There should be 3 small totems on the left side of the area and 3 on the right. You can call them whatever you want, but most teams I've rolled with refer to them as L1, L2, and L3 on the left, and R1, R2, and R3 on the right. Launch the encounter by approaching Rhulk as much as you can, and a bunch of trash ads will spawn into the area. During the fight, you will notice a big crystal way up in the air near the back of the room. Whoever shoots and breaks that big crystal will acquire a debuff called Leeching Force. Really quickly, I'll first give you a TLDR of what to do with Leeching Force, then give more detailed information about the flow of the encounter. Here's your goal of what to do with Leeching Force. Pass it from yourself onto 2 other teammates. Eventually, players with Leeching Force will want to upgrade that debuff into Emanating Force, and then dunk that power into particular totems in order to advance the encounter. Here's how to do all that. Whoever is the first person to shoot the center crystal and get Leeching Force, they should now stand on the giant plate on the floor near where you spawned in. When the Leeching Force player steps onto that plate, 2 more crystals will spawn up in the air at the back of the room. If 2 different fire team members shoot and break 1 crystal apiece, then boom, the Leeching Force debuff will magically get transferred from the player standing on the plate to the 2 players who shot and broke the side crystals. That is the TLDR version of how to transfer leeching from 1 guardian to 2 guardians. Here's how to upgrade from Leeching Force into Emanating Force. If you stand in the way of Rhulk's giant orange Kamehameha while holding the Leeching Force debuff, you'll get it upgraded to Emanating Force. As mentioned mentioned earlier, Emanating Force players need to dunk that power into very specific small totems around the area. But how do you know which totem is the correct one that you need to dunk into? Well, during ad clear, you might notice that eventually 2 big glyph keepers will spawn in. When you murder them, 2 sets of 3 symbols will appear on top of 2 very large pillars, one on the left side of the area and one on the right. Only a player with the Leeching Force debuff can see the symbols on the left pillar, and only someone not carrying any debuff can see the symbols on the right pillar. Have the Leeching Force player call out the symbols they see on the left, and have another non-debuffed player call out the symbols they see on the right. You're looking for the one matching symbol that is on both the left and the right pillar. You can use the following official call-out sheet, or just use whatever the hell you want, doesn't matter. When the matching symbol has been identified, the non-debuffed player who called out the right side symbol on the pillar should then look around the area and find the smaller totems that have the matching symbol somewhere on them. That is where the Emanating Force players need to go and dunk. And now that you're refreshed on the basics, why don't we cover the strategy that most teams I've been on run, which is the multi-dunk or double dunk strategy. I even got a cheat sheet here that breaks down the roles. If it somehow makes your life easier, you can assign roles for players A, B, C, and D. Player A shoots the main crystal to gain Leeching Force. Player A then stands on the big plate, while players B and C shoot side crystals to steal Leeching Force from player A. Player B then stands on the plate, while players A and D will now shoot side crystals. Now you should have 3 players with Leeching, players A, C, and D. Player A will call out the symbols on the left pillar, while players C and D will step into the path of the orange Kamehameha to become emanating and then go and dunk in the appropriate totems. Player A should still have Leeching at that point, and you now just go back to step 2 and do it all over again. One really nice benefit of the multi-dunk strategy is that the matching symbol on the left and right pillars should remain the same the whole way through, making it easier for small totems to get dunked into. Just make sure your dunkers are doing a little 3, 2, 1 dunk countdown type situation. Quick note, during the Pantheon version of this encounter, every time the barrier advances after you dunk, you'll have to fight a Tormentor, so that's exciting. Keep doing this until Rhulk finally teleports out of the area. You'll run up a giant staircase, and now it is damage time. During the Pantheon Rhulk damage phase, there will be 2 Rhulks this time instead of 1. Regular Rhulk and a second Shadow Rhulk. Shadow Rhulk only exists to kick you during damage phase and trip you up. Regular Rhulk will continue to do his 4-way orange Kamehameha like normal. Try to run around as much as you can in order to avoid his attacks. Every now and then, Rhulk will put his glaive down at his side and it'll look really weird. One player should shoot the glaive until they acquire Leeching Force. When they have it, they can intentionally jump into the path of the 4-way Kamehameha like before to upgrade it into Emanating Force. When you have that, you need to dunk your Emanating Force into one of the 4 totems located in each corner of the DPS area. Which one exactly? Your teammates will tell you. While doing the Kamehameha attack, one of 4 symbols will briefly appear near where his glaive was shot. Only a player who doesn't have the Leeching or Emanating Force debuff will be able to see what that symbol is. Depending on what symbol they see, that will determine which of the 4 totems need to be dunked into. Here's a cheat sheet. Graphic design is my passion. I'd recommend the players calling out give both the name of the symbol that appeared as well as the matching L1, L2, R1, or R2 callout. Giving both callouts together makes things easier, especially if the emanating player does not have all the dunk locations memorized by symbol alone. After each time you dunk a debuff into a corner, you'll notice that Rhulk will have either a glowing shoulder or glowing thigh. You must shoot and break these glowing armor bits each time or you won't be able to get to the damage phase, so be sure to do that. When you've dunked a total of 4 debuffs and you've broken 4 pieces of glowing armor off of Rhulk, it is damage time. Unlike the other raid bosses in Pantheon where you can basically get away with planting down in a Warlock Radiant Well and pumping damage into some poor idiot boss who can't move, Rhulk is highly mobile and will fly around during damage phase. Damage-wise, I'm going to recommend whatever you used for the first 3 clears of Pantheon this week, aka a Gallarhorn paired together with a well-rolled arc or stasis rocket launcher. Naturally, you should pair that together with triple surge mods on your leg armor, matching whatever your main DPS weapon is. Because we got an arc and stasis surge, you should also try to front load the DPS team with Thunder Crashing Titans and 1 Star Eater scale Gathering Storm Hunter. Adding more Gathering Storm Hunters can complicate things, as the majority of that damage comes from jolting, and jolting does not stack. If you do have multiple Gathering Storm Hunters, don't hit Rhulk all at once, spread your supers out if you can. Also, if your heavy damage dealing weapon is legendary, see if you can get 1 player on the team to run a Lumina hand cannon for that extra smidge of a damage buff during DPS phase. For additional DPS recommendations, I'll try to update the pinned comment later this this week. I'm basically going to be traveling all this week, but I'll try to update the pinned comment when I can. If you've got any additional tips for your fellow Guardian, be sure to let me know what they are down in the comment section. Thank you very much for watching. Peace.